Back to 25.
Baby
Till-
is
Get you right, yeah.
It's 7 p.m. on Monday, April 7th, 2025, and I'm going to call this regular City Council meeting to order. I do want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, and if Councilmember White would lead us in the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, both Councilmember Cedar and Councilmember Peretti asked to be excused this evening.
Move to excuse.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember Hall to excuse Councilmember Cedar and Councilmember Peretti this evening. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. And then for the record, just to note, we have Planning Manager Stallnecker, Director Madden, Interim Director Robeck, Chief Hernandez, and City Clerk HR Tricia Summers. First on our agenda is citizen participation. The purpose of the public comment period at this meeting is for those wishing to address the council on any matter. It's not intended for debate and discussion with the public. Please state your name and city for the record, and we kindly remind you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Jackie Strader.
Jackie Strader, Milton, Washington. I know this is on the agenda, but I have something going on, so I just came down to say it, and then I'll be gone. So in January 2025, the administration contracted with Potemco for $24,500, which is under the professional services agreement. Because it was under $25,000, this agreement didn't have to be brought to council. It wasn't discussed at a council meeting, so it isn't part of the public record. I looked for it. The contract scope of work said provide on-call engineering services to include electrical engineering, electrical system planning, and electrical system rate analysis, structural design, surveying, geotechnical investigation, permitting plans, specification, estimates, construction management, and construction engineering. That was the scope of work. Here we are 10 weeks later, and the administration is bringing to council an amendment to increase the contract an additional $159,200 for a total of, I think it was around $189,000, which if it was originally that, would have gone to council. You would have known the other bidders. You would have had all the information, but now all you're getting is a contract modification. Was this competitively bid? Who were the other bidders? Why did we not use EES Consulting, which is now part of GDS Associates, who's been the company we've gone to for 35 years. They're familiar with Milton. Maybe they didn't want to do it. Maybe they were asked. I don't know. Maybe it'll all be brought out when you guys discuss it, but it's that there was also a Teams meeting in February, according to the agenda, and I just find it odd that 3 weeks into the contract, it's decided that there's a potential to expand the scope by $159,000. It's like there's a way contracting should be done. And like you always hear me talk about, it's about the process. Whatever you guys decide to do, that's what you decide to do. All I care is that the process and the rules are transparently followed so that nobody has to come here with these questions. I don't like being here asking them. So, and as an aside regarding it, council already said to proceed with the substation. We already paid a contractor $60,000 to start substation designing. Why does it appear we're starting over from the beginning? Back in 2025, everything was in place to have a new substation. And here we are in 2025, and it looks like we're still debating it and gonna discuss it again. It's like, what's going on? I see our utility as, that's what Milton is our electric utility. It says so on the sign, on the side of our building. And here we are, why are we still talking about it? Let's just do it.
Thank you for your comments. That concludes citizen participation. Moving on to additions and deletions. Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, what starts on page 3 of your packet. If I can get a motion to pass.
I move to pass the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember White to pass the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. Council, we have 4 items this evening. The first one is an appointment to our Park Board, which starts on page 15 of your packet. We've had an opening in the Park Board for quite some time now, and I recently met with resident Jason Roberts, who showed interest in joining the Park Board. Jason has been a resident here of the city of Milton for 11 years, and he also coaches FME basketball, and he, which I think demonstrates a commitment to our community. And then he also uses our parks quite often with his son, who's joining us this evening, to play basketball. And so I think that firsthand knowledge will be nice to have on the Park Board. So I am hoping that you will approve my recommendation to appoint Jason Roberts to the Park Board. And I'm going to invite him up if he would like to just at least say hello.
Putting me on the spot here. I'm not a great public speaker, but thank you for this opportunity. So I plan on helping out the community as best that I can, and this is the whole point of me being the signing up for this park board membership, just to do that, to help out this great community we have, improve the parks. Like you mentioned earlier, I play all the time with my son, playing basketball, use the facilities quite often. So I see what a great town we have and all the great resources we have. So I just want to help and improve upon that. So that's about it. So thank you for the time, and thanks for the opportunity.
Wonderful.
Move to approve the mayor's appointment to Jason Roberts to the Park Board for the term to expire December 31st, 2028.
Second.
Councilmember Boylan, did you?
I haven't.
You're good. You're good. Okay, for now. Let me just repeat them. Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Strader and seconded by Councilmember Hall to approve the mayor's appointment of Jason Roberts to the Park Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2028. Councilmember Strader, did you want to speak to your motion?
Well, it appears that you're well qualified, and I'm sure that you will have great input into the Park Board. So thank you for volunteering.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes, I like to see people that are younger, that have kids, that have the input. You use the facilities, you understand what is needed, and so I welcome you.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Whalen?
I just have a few questions in the statement and so forth.
Oh, sure.
Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
Park Board. It's a great place to start and so forth. Have you been involved with a lot of the meetings and so forth?
Yeah, I attended 2 meetings previously just to see functions and whatnot. But actually, I think the previous meeting that we had for the Parks Board, we didn't have a full quorum, I think, at that time. So technically, I've attended 1 full meeting, but yeah, I made an effort to attend a second one.
You may not be able to answer this, but I've been waiting to talk to someone from the city or the Park Board and so forth. What's happening on 19th on Hill Tower?
Oh, on Hill Tower. From my understanding, they're adding a pickleball court. They're going to redo some of the parking lot. I believe they're going to resurface the basketball area as well, and take down the play area too. I believe that was out of protocol, so they're going to take down the jungle gym and those facilities.
I knew this was coming, and I knew it was going to happen and so forth, and I wasn't sure. So it's not a test. It's just welcoming that you're understanding right now from the get-go what the Park Board is involved in and what's happening.
Yeah.
I support your appointment and welcome you to the Park Board.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great answer, considering you haven't been on part of that discussion of the Park Board. So you did listen when we were talking about it, and you remembered, which is impressive. So that's great. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Yeah, kudos to you for answering that. You're a public speaker. I've known Jason for not a really long time. I think you'll be quite the asset to the Parks Board, and I know how active he is in the community. He just joined the karate school too, and to do ninjutsu. So you're broadening your scope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not just basketball, but welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. So it's been moved by Councilmember Strader and seconded by Councilmember Hall to approve the mayor's appointment of Jason Roberts to the Park Board for a term to expire December 31st, 2025, or 2028. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then I have a certificate, and if we could just get a really quick picture with council, if you don't mind.
That's what we do.
Your son can be, we'll be up here, your son can be in if he wants to. That's right, I remember that. Thank you, because I'm back here like. Am I in it? No, I'm not in it. Good. Sorry.
Oh, one more.
He probably doesn't really want to be on the board. He just needed a picture
There you-
with important people.
No, he needed an alibi.
All right, so next on our agenda is the Patelco, I don't know why, just contract amendment number 1, which starts on page 17 of your packet. I am going to turn the floor over to Director Madden, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As was previously discussed in the public comment period, this is an expansion of our existing contract, Amendment Number 1 with Patelco. In November of 2024, the city went out for an RFQ, request for qualifications, from qualified electrical engineering firms. The scope of that RFQ was to find someone that could do the rate study, that could help assist the city analyze our existing needs, and help further the discussion with the substation. There's been several changes to our grid and our transmission lines due to 167. Those changes were just have recently been solidified. And so we felt like we were in a good position to bring on an on-call for electric consulting. As Mrs. Strader said, we've had a previous relationship with EES. In 2022, they were bought by GDS, which is a company out of the East Coast. We attempted to work with that firm for up to 6 months, and we were just not receiving the results or the deliverables that we had received from EES in the past. At that time, that relationship was terminated. We also had a relationship with Penlight, who is an amazing supporter of the city of Milton, but we were not able to establish a relationship with them to facilitate a rate study and really look at a substation, some of the bigger needs. They're more of a contributing partner rather than a consultant. They've got their own scope of work for operational needs that requires most of their time. So in January of 2025, actually November, we went out for an RFQ for engineering, electrical engineering. We received 2 proposals from Elcon and from Patelco. Patelco, I will say, is the primary provider and support for PSE, who we may need to have a partnership for distribution backup tie. So we were relieved that we received a proposal from Patelco and Elcon. Elcon, you may remember their name. They previously were contracted to design our substation. That substation was determined to be on a piece of ground below the existing substation that was inundated with a high water table and problematic soils, and it would have been, it wasn't feasible or economical to develop on that parcel, which is why the city terminated that contract with Elcon. We didn't have any bad feelings towards them, it just wasn't the right site for that substation, and that's why it didn't move forward. But Elcon submitted, and the city established a contract with both Elcon and Patelco in January of 2025. We requested bids for a rate study. You may remember we've done a rate study now on water and storm. Those rate studies typically are good for 6 to 10 years. They establish rates. They take a look at your overall capital costs, and they project what your operational costs are going to be, and then they provide a recommendation for a rate that balances your expenses and allows the utility to continue to function. So we requested bids from both Elcon and Patelco. Patelco was very accommodating and very interested in working with the city of Milton. Elcon is also, and we may work with them for a future endeavor. Since those January discussions, though, they have sold to 2 different firms. So Elcon was bought by first David Evans and then by Atkins Realis. And during those transitions, there can be, there's just changes. And so staff determined to move forward and recommend to council the rate study and the distribution backup assessment with Patelco. And that is the contract that's before you tonight. So I went into all that background to show you that we have met our bidding requirements through the RFQ process. This is a large endeavor. EES undertook this endeavor in 2014, which set rates from 2014 to 2024. We're now operating under 2024 rate structure. And so this is it's a big, important endeavor for the city of Milton to get these rates right, not only for the city, but for the residents. So the contract before you is to facilitate both the rate study and the distribution backup assessment. Would you like me to read the recommended action?
No, you don't have to read it.
Thank you.
If I can get a motion to open up the floor. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I move to approve amendment number 1 to the contract with Patelco for inclusion of electric rate study and electrical distribution system analysis and backup tie options in the amount of $159,200.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve amendment number 1 to the contract with Patelco for inclusion of electric rate study and electrical distribution system analysis and backup tie options in the amount of $159,200. Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. My only question I don't have a problem with this, but could you delineate as best you can the difference between what the 24,500 was, the 24,500 was, and now the total we're looking at now? Is it just the scope of now you're dealing with 167, or what is thrown in that increased it to where it is now?
Wonderful question. That RFQ that went out in November 2024, that was for kind of a generalized scope of work. So we didn't have a specific task that we needed those consultants to deliver. What we were looking for was a consultant that can meet the needs of the city. And so we put out all of our needs at that time to show and potentially build a relationship somebody with a consultant that can meet those needs. And they were varying from substation, distribution backup tie, electrical engineering for undergrounding, or a rate study. What you have before you now is for the deliverable of a rate study. And I went back and I pulled our stormwater rate study, which was in a similar dollar amount, 112,000. And then water rate study, we drafted a scope of work for 25,000, and that was to finish it off because it was actually started pre-COVID. So it's, the price range for a rate study is comparable.
Okay. So it's really just the rate study then is what we're looking at, is the difference.
Two things. What you're looking at now is deliverables. That 24,000.
Actual deliverable.
The actual
Okay.
deliverables. For this 159,000, they will deliver the rate study and recommendation for distribution backup tie.
Thank you.
Of course.
Councilmember Whalen?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for bringing this to our attention. I'm just going to give you a little background, if you don't mind. Patelco has been a name within the city of Milton for at least 20 years that I know of, on and off, per se, for doing service for us. They probably understand our history better than anybody else that may come in to provide these types of services for the city of Milton. We tried to do a lot of things to bring in a new substation, and they were involved with this in the very beginning, and they can see that it's not succeeded. It's still the substation like it used to be. We thought it was going to have new grounds and so forth. So, but I always remember that their delivery to the city and discussions with them, that they're very apparently understanding what we tried to do, what we tried to have happen. And we're now back into almost the same situation when they were 20 years ago supporting us, Patelco. So they know our history, they know our needs, and I'm hoping that within the next few years that we can resolve our substation issue with something that's going to last us 25 years. And I say 25 because it's 25 that I remember them with us if we're 25 years later. So I appreciate seeing them coming back. So thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Strader?
Director Madden, I take it that you're saying that there weren't very many people that qualified for this bid, and that's why you're coming to us with this single proposition?
There are not a lot of firms out there that are qualified to perform a rate study of this nature or support Milton's endeavors. Elcon, David Evans, and now Atkins Realis is one, potentially, but we don't have a relationship with them. They don't know us and we don't know them. And the other firms have a lot of in-house engineering, like Peninsula Light, so they do a lot of their electrical engineering in-house. But we're supported by other firms in the area. Lakeview Light is an amazing asset, but there's not a lot of firms that can take on this workload and dedicate the time that we need to the city of Milton. Patelco is one of those, and GDS maybe, but they're located on the East Coast, and that relationship has been problematic in the past. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, yeah. But another question I have is, Quanta Technologies part of Patelco?
That is the parent company of Patelco.
Okay.
And they are massive and have a lot of different expertise in very narrow fields. So that's also a good asset for the city.
Okay. And so our last rate study was done when?
2014, it was delivered by EES, which used to be based out of Gig Harbor, but they sold in 2021, I believe, 2022 to GDS.
Right. So, You said 2014, there wasn't a later one done?
There may have been a grid assessment done as part of the substation analysis, but that rate study was 2014. That was conducted by
So
EES.
how much of a change is there in that, between that study and today's study? Can you give an example of?
Yes, well, there's been a lot of change. I think the demand on the electrical grid throughout the Northwest has seen a significant change. I think availability, cost of service, supply chains, everything needs to be analyzed. And substations used to be able to get a transformer in 6 months. Now it's multiple years from order.
Okay, and so what was the cost of that study done in 2014? Can you tell me?
I do not have that information in front of me, but we can email it out to you.
I
But
think it was around 60,000 when I was looking at it, so I'm just
Okay.
wondering why such a huge increase from 60,000 in 2014 and today 24, now we're looking at 180,000?
yes, that would be the total contract, but the actual rate study itself, oh, I've got the number here.
152?
Oh, I want to say it's about 90,000 for the rate study.
Oh,
And so that tracks with cost of inflation.
Okay, all right. And you said that you had trouble finding other, but how come you didn't get back to council with you trying to find other companies? How come this is the first time we're hearing about that process?
The city will go out for RFQs, request for qualification, and that's part of our investigation and gathering process.
Yeah.
Once we've gathered that information and we have a firm that we believe is a good fit, that's when we bring it to council.
Okay.
So it's just about at what point do we bring it to council in the process? This is when the city feels like we're in a position to actually hire someone and start that relationship, and that's why it's before you tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Councilmember Whalen?
It's a little bit of the side question of this and so forth. But with entering into an agreement with Patelco, are we going to be preparing ourselves correctly for the substation replacement? What is their role in doing that?
So their role with the substation as part of this contract is to put together some general magnitude of cost assessment and then build that into our rate structure. So the city can recoup those capital investments over the next 10, 20 years.
And it's important because that's laid dormant, correcting the situation we had that was recognized more than 20 years ago. And we're getting to the tipping point. I'm using my terminology and so forth, that if something creative and appropriately done needs to be done in the next half dozen years with the age of the substation and the conditions that we have there. So they're very aware of where we came from and where we need to go. And I've got confidence that they will apply that history and future history appropriately. Thank you.
Agreed. The relationship with Patelco would put the city in a better position to engineer and build the substation and also support its ongoing maintenance. We don't have internal team members who hold the qualifications to maintain a substation. And that's why we work with BPA, which is why I was hesitant when I came on board to purchase that substation and take on the responsibility of maintenance. It's benefited the city to continue that relationship with BPA.
Councilmember Strader?
Just one other question. I thought I was reading through the contract and it was saying that for subcontracting, we would add another 15%. Who's the subcontractor going to be?
That is do you want to, what page, council member?
I can't find it in here. I think it was reading in one of the other sections on the contract itself.
A 15% is a standard markup for a sub of a prime contractor.
So we're not going to be paying Quanta Technology another 15% for their input if they have to use them as a resource? Or, I mean, you said they're parent company. Would they be then considered a subcontractor?
They would.
They would?
Yep, and that's standard procedure. All of our other rate studies, we contracted with either Parametrics for storm or Gray and Osborne for water. They used a company called FCS and applied that appropriate markup.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay, this is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve Amendment Number 1 to the contract for Patelco for inclusion of electric rate study and electrical distribution system analysis and backup tie options in the amount of $159,200. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Carried 1-4-1. Moving on to the next item this evening, it is the purchase of a John Deere slope mower. This agenda item starts on page 31 of our packet. I will turn the floor back over to Director Madden, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is a purchase that I'm excited to bring forward to Council. There are multiple benefits to the city and our operation team. But a little bit of background. In 2005, the Stormwater Capital Fund, 407, it has $99,000 left as part of our capacity grant from the Department of Ecology. This mower is an eligible expense for stormwater compliance and will help us achieve compliance with our NPDES permit, which we have issued through the Department of Ecology. This is a John Deere. The operational team brought it to my attention. There are multiple safety improvements. Right now, when we need to clean out catch basins catch basins is the wrong term, storm ponds. It's vegetation control. We'll have 4 to 5 people out there. There are bees everywhere. There's poison oak. It is not a friendly environment for humans. And so this piece of equipment would allow us to operate slope mowing, go down from 5 to 1 to 2 people, and maintain a safe distance from the mower and clear these ongoing vegetation control issues that the city has had. So not only will it improve safety, but it'll also improve and increase productivity. Recommended action is approved to purchase the Skag Tree Frog 52 remote slope mower through John Deere in the amount of $64,627.60. And all of that purchase will be through the Department of Ecology's capacity grant.
I can get a motion? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I move to approve the purchase of the SCAG Tree Frog 52-inch remote slope mower through John Deere at the amount of $64,627.60.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve purchase of SCAG Tree Frog 52-inch remote slope mower through John Deere in the amount of $64,627.60. Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. Now, do you already have a slope? I've thought I've seen one out there. So you already have one.
What we have is we have an attachment
Okay.
for our
Okay.
tractor. And we can mow slopes off the street. But for these remote access or steep slopes, we don't have a piece of equipment currently that is safe to mow those.
And so essentially, this is paid for with the grant money, yes?
Correct.
So do you have to pay it, it has to be paid up front, and then you're reimbursing the city through that grant? Is that how it?
That's accurate. And we've received a 2-month extension to allow some additional time to process that reimbursement,
I like grant money.
as do we.
Yes. I have nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your second?
Yes, I do, and thank you very much. I'm not going to show off. This is what you're talking about.
Correct.
Okay. It's purchased through John Deere, but it's a SCAG, S-C-H-E. And I had a very great interest into it because of one, it's very low profile. It's not very wide, and it's not man-ridden. It's man-controlled. So on somewhat steep inclines or ditch inclines and so forth, it's a much better product than taking a tractor or a lawnmower or towing something around. It's very versatile. In looking at it, of course, grant money is always great to buy toys with, you know, and I don't mean a toy in a negative sense. I wasn't sure how many areas in the city to look at to see where this would be advantageous until I started to look. It's not only advantageous for what the initial purchase is, but it's also advantageous for the city to maintain other areas that are very difficult. Let me just put it that way. Nice advancement, nice looking character, and if anybody looks online and sees how this thing operates and how versatile it is, I fully support the purchase.
Any other questions, comments? Councilmember Strader?
So I got to ask this question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there anything else like this on the market, or is this like kind of state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind kind of thing? Is there the only people that have this, or have you looked at other comparable machines?
There are other machines out there. They are quite a bit more from a cost standpoint, and some of them are more experimental in nature. When we work with an existing vendor through John Deere, parts are readily available. There's multiple mechanics in the area that will be familiar with working on this product, and so that also is an advantage for us.
I was going to say, it's difficult to get into John Deere to get your stuff fixed anyway. So would our own mechanic be able to work on this, I think?
Yes, that would be the idea.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Mayor Potem?
I meant to ask, so where in the city could this be used? Of the city property, roughly what percentage of that will this be applicable to be able to be used?
So its primary use will be those storm ponds. And I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I would like to say it's in the mid-30s.
Okay.
Significant ponds that we have throughout the city. Also, some of our areas that are fairly wet in nature that are around outside of the stream buffer areas. That would be another area that we could potentially use this.
Okay, so about a third.
Yep, and it helps maintain our stormwater system, the collection system, so we don't have clogging or flooding. That's why the capacity grant supports it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Strader?
One other question. Now, because you don't have this machine, is all this work typically done by manual work with weed eaters and that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? It is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve purchase of Skag Tree Frog 52-inch remote slope mower through John Deere in the amount of $64,627.60. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. Moving on to our last agenda item this evening. It starts on page 35 of your packet. It is ordinance 2107-25 for the automated traffic safety cameras. I'm going to turn the floor over to Chief Hernandez, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor.
Good evening, council. Yes. Tonight is agenda item 6D. You've seen this before. In 2023, City Council adopted an ordinance 2075-23, authorizing the use of automated traffic safety cameras. Since then, we've gone forward and we have started building the infrastructure and are building the infrastructure. But the legislation was changed last year to be more specific, and that was House Bill 2384, exactly on what those funds can be used for. And so tonight, page 37 through 44, you have a clean copy, and then 45 through 50, you have the red line version. And this was done by our attorney, Andrew, working for Ochner Murphy Wallace, who's the city attorney. So tonight, we're looking for action so that we can continue moving forward on our camera project.
Councilmember Whalen?
Move to approve ordinance 2107-25 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember Hall to approve ordinance 2107-25 as presented. Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your motion?
Well, I'm going to ask a question about it, and I fully support this, and I have since we even conceived of doing this. When's it going to be done? I mean, with Puyallup and so forth and so forth. And I'm not trying to give people tickets, and I'm trying to correct conditions that we have in the city. Just give us a kind of 3-month time frame, somewhere in between July and August, June, July.
Well, the company that we've been working with has been waiting to break ground. We're pre-building meetings that have occurred, but at this point, they were waiting for the legislation to be finished, and Puyallup has been waiting for us to finalize our code, because there are certain things that they have to inform the administrator of the courts regarding our fines and fees. And so that was one of the things that we looked at in the fines, is we made a sliding scale. So based on actual speed, and which are mirrored after what the state current legislation has enacted for speed violations. And the short answer is we hope by the beginning of school year next year. So not next year, but this year, which would be August or September. We hope.
And I hope we actually have it hot and running in August 1st, so that September 1st, when kids are walking across and so forth, we're ready to do that. That would make me happier than waiting until September to give a month's notice for people and so forth. Thank you for that update, and support this greatly.
Councilmember Hall?
I know I read this. We're going to do a kind of pre-notice to let the residents know that this is going to happen. We're also going to give them a little bit of leeway. What is that time frame there?
In the discussions, preliminary discussions that we've had, and my takeaway with council is that we would do at least a 30-day grace period, so that as violations occurred, they would get amnesty, but they would get notice in the mail that should this violation occur after the amnesty period, that they then would be receiving an infraction.
Yeah, and that would be nice to have that already in place so that when school starts, it's going to happen. I hate for people to see something new when school's starting and there's kids out, and we want to be fair. It's not going to be easy, but I think it's necessary based on the amount of time I spend on the road and walking for safety purposes. Thank you.
Can I just clarify something, since I've heard the same thing twice? The school cameras only go off during certain hours of the day. So if school's not in session, we wouldn't be able to do the test run, correct? Because school's not in session. So it would have to start
Oh, shoot.
in September.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Will it be publicized like
I mean, we'll probably put something at Milton Days for sure.
Okay,
And then
okay.
I think most of the community is aware of this conversation. So maybe we can put a reader board out or two in the summertime.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be good.
And they're going to see the construction as well. But yeah, we can definitely try to make sure people are aware. But as far as the test run, I would imagine it would start once school starts.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Or the actual
Good point.
school, but we will have the camera.
The other
28,
ones.
And we will have the park camera.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
okay.
Councilmember Boyd, let me have everyone else go first, and then I'll come back to you. Any, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. If we go to page 50, paragraph D, could you kind of explain that in layman's terms, what that means?
Well, I would be happy to, but my expertise is sitting next to me, so I will
Okay.
pass the mic to the finance director.
This is kind of a follow-up question unless you answer it after that.
It's my understanding that this refers to after 4 years of active operation of the traffic safety cameras, that we will need to remit 25% of the revenues to be deposited in the Cooper Jones Active Transportation Safety Account.
Okay. Do you know what that is?
What the Cooper Jones
What
Active
that
Safety.
account is?
I,
Now he's asking for it back.
oh, sorry.
Yes, it's a special account regarding pedestrian and vehicle safety. And there's a specific RCW, and it falls under the Traffic Safety Commission for the state of Washington, which there are regional traffic safety commissions regionally. And then they decide on areas of emphasis to be able to do new construction or improve pedestrian, bicycle safety, and vehicle as well.
So that's what those funds will be used for?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember White?
Yeah, I have a question, section C above that, where it talks about that, that the revenue, it says, program revenue used by the city for traffic safety activities under section B. B1 must be informed by the Department of Health's Environmental Health Disparities Map. I looked that up, and Milton, the entire city limits ranks a 7. What does that mean? What does that mean to the city with regards to this program? And does it put on any restrictions to us? A 7 rank is pretty high. It's pushed up by the fact that we rate a 10, which is the maximum for proximity to traffic roadways.
Correct. Currently, we are working with Transpo, who was the company that designed our traffic calming program, which the council adopted. And in that, I don't know if you recall the presentation that was done, cameras were part of that traffic calming program, but the state has put this extra requirement for cities to look into making sure that there is not any kind of social, economic, or race disparities that occur specifically because of a camera program. So there's a another tag to this that we provide an annual report that's posted on our website, and it shows that data to make sure that we're not specifically targeting ethnicity, social economic areas that are economically depressed. And so we have to provide that information every year.
But this seems to be more along the lines of health, not economics. So I'm just wondering, is it, are they using this along with that? I mean, explain how that works.
Well, with everything they connect, there is a lot of things that are connected by bias to health. So there could be an argument that people of color experience more fatality collisions and so forth like that. So all of this data is all of these things that we're compiling, and it is to make sure that we're not disparaging, which would contribute to the degradation of particular race or socioeconomic health of individuals of ethnicity.
So in the grand scheme of that, what does a ranking of 7 mean for us?
I could not tell you, but
If I may, the ranking of 7 means that all of Milton is on equal footing, and we don't have to prioritize any particular area over another, because its disparity rating is equal across our city limits.
So that's a positive.
That is, it gives the city more latitude to place enforcement and solutions where we see fit.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other comment? Oh, Councilmember Boylan?
Just kind of a filtered question. On 29th in Milton Way, we will put cameras in when appropriate, when we're done. And let's just say it's August 1st. Everybody who violates that during a period of time, and I think it's 30 days, gets a warning. They're not cited, but they've been identified as a, do it again, you're gonna violate this. There's no prohibition about doing the same thing at the school, because it's going to take not just the school, it's going to take everyone who traffics through that light at whatever times it's in operation. Hopefully it's 24 hours a day, just like it'll be on 29th. So if that's a notification, we've already taken care of the problem of notifying the general public and having them active the day school opens, as long as we provide a 30-day advance use notice that you're in that violation. Does that satisfy our requirements?
well, I'll have to talk to the city attorney regarding that particular enforcement section.
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
Yeah, because I don't care when you go through it. If we give a notice at 29th and somebody doesn't get a notice because they haven't been through that in 25, 30 days, the first time they traffic through it, they get a notification. That's legal. As long as as long as the notice is out. So my hope is that on day 1 of school, they're finable. 30 days before that, they're privileged to traffic through that, may never get a notice, because not everybody who traffics through is going to get a notice. Say, be careful, 30 days, that's going to be a traffic light. So I'm just saying that I think that 30-day period satisfies the court's needs. Thank you.
Mayor, may I speak on this topic
You sure
just
can.
very quickly? I realize that there's been some opposition to the cameras in the past. I just want to make sure that council is aware of Public Works' perspective on this. When I came on board, one of the compelling things about joining the Milton team was its desire for walkability and traffic calming and lower speeds in a safe, small community. That was very appealing to me personally. That is not a new hope and dream. That goal has been in place for a long time. In speaking with our leadership team, we needed a plan to fund that hope and dream. In doing all of the traffic assessments and speed studies, it's very apparent that we have a lot of cut-through traffic in the city of Milton. And that cut-through traffic does not live here. They don't care about the speeds or the rule of law. And so this, to Public Works and to me personally, is the tool that will allow the city to become a walkable place for our community, from parks and schools to shopping centers. It will allow us to fund the traffic improvements along Taylor and Emerald. These cameras, while they're on Milton Way, will have benefits that echo throughout the community. So I just want to make sure that I took 3 minutes and said what I felt was important. And without this type of revenue generation on the people that are not following the limits and the speed limits within the city or the stoplights, it will continue to be very difficult for us to achieve that walkable standard that we all want. That's all.
Councilmember Strader and then Councilmember White.
Chief, can you answer this question? Will the cameras be recording 24/7?
I don't believe that they will because they're only supposed to be triggered when there's a violation.
Okay.
But I know that there is the ability to run data out of them like we do with the traffic survey.
So that
So-
you can collect that data, like
Correct.
how many cars are coming through and that kind of thing, but they're not actually, are they actually, I'm pretty sure they're probably still collecting the speed and that kind of thing. So that's not set up, going to be set up to, if they're doing the speed limits when it's 35 and they're plowing through at 45, it's not going to be issuing tickets for those, right?
No, it'll be, the only one that'll be running 24 hours for violations will be up there at the corner of Emerald and Milton Way in front of 900 Meridian, the stoplight up there, because that one doesn't have a time. The park will be hours of park hours, and then the school will be only during the school times.
And what I'm going to see is, what I think is a lot of traffic's going to shift over to Taylor. And so what are your provisions for addressing that?
Well, I was just looking at my data, and we did it was about 1,050 traffic stops in the last 3 months. So again, we'll continue to hit it hard. Anytime there's any kind of emphasis, from being a former law enforcement, there's what I call crime displacement. So inevitably, you will get some kind of traffic displacement with these cameras as people figure out that they're there, and then we'll be waiting.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Councilmember White?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with Director Madden's last comment. I was adamantly against these when we were discussing them initially. That fight has passed, and I realize that win some, lose some. But I intend to support this, and I hope that going forward that it will have a positive effect on the city, especially for infrastructure improvements, which we desperately need. So I'm going to support this today.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Whalen? Oh, let me have Councilmember Hall go because she hasn't gone a second time, and then.
Just to say, I appreciate all of the traffic emphasis that's happening on Emerald and Taylor. Your guys stop, talk, they watch, they're friendly, but they're educating. So this will help us when these trigger, because we know there's going to be go-arounds. It's going to happen. But you're well aware of that, and your officers also know where they're at. So, thank you.
Councilmember Whalen?
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm just a little confused. Traffic, speeding can happen at any hour of the day. And most times it happens late at night and so forth. Why would we have a camera at the school zone collecting data for violation during the school hours? Why would it not be on for violations outside of those hours? It's still a violation.
It's legislative.
Footnote. I came up from my house. I needed to go to Safeway and so forth. And it was about, I don't remember if it was school zone hours or not. I think it was a little bit before. Because I don't like to go up during the school hours and so forth. And here's a van in the church parking lot, and here's a police car behind it, citating, but for whatever reason, I don't know. And that's the only time I think I've ever gone up Milton Way around that corner outside of school hours where people were slow. Once they saw that, they slowed down. So I think the impetus of what we're trying to do is to moderate traffic at speed limits in a residential, in a neighborhood, in the city of Milton, and not allow somebody going through a school zone maybe 40 minutes after the lights are off, at 40 miles an hour. We have the absolute obligation to safeguard people at 24 hours a day for the speed limit in a traffic zone. 20 miles an hour when its school lights are on, 35 miles an hour when they're off, and cite everybody in between who violates. That's my outlook on what we're trying to accomplish. And I hope everybody agrees to that and understands that. Thank you.
Legislative intent, they have not passed speed zone camera or speed cameras like they have on the East Coast. In some other states, they have cameras where they are used for enforcement of speed limits. And the legislative body in the state of Washington has done it for particular zones like parks, schools, hospitals, and then the red light cameras, but they have not done the cameras like you're talking about here yet. That's not to say that it won't be coming in the future. And I know that there is a new recent legislation regarding construction zones on the highway that the State Patrol is going to be rolling out. So we're not quite there yet. And I think that that will be the future, is that you will see the ability to put remote sensory cameras up to monitor speed limits everywhere.
I think we think alike. We just need to have the law to allow us to do it.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Wasn't it mentioned along with this that, because, Taylor was addressed, and wasn't it also said that along with all this, that Transpo, were they the ones that suggested doing traffic calming on Taylor to kind of battle the people who obviously are going to, like you're saying, human behavior, they're going to catch me here, well, I'm going to go on that route because I could, but wasn't that what they had also brought up, doing that in conjunction, or maybe sometime after?
Yes, as part of the traffic calming program that council adopted, there are physical solutions, roundabout, speed humps, those type of devices. But the mayor supported Public Works in having Transpo do a full assessment of Emerald and Taylor. And we started that process in March. And so we're looking to finalize those recommendations. And by the end of April, we should have a recommendation for a physical change on both Taylor and on Emerald. And then we will pursue implementing those physical changes. And the concept at the time was we developed those physical changes in parallel to this enforcement. And we have a system that is operating as a cohesive unit rather than just pushing people towards Taylor and Emerald.
Okay, thank you. I was testing my memory.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from council? Okay, it is an action item. Just, yep, you sure can. So just come to the podium and state your name and the city you live in.
Thank you for your insight on this. And you were talking about cut-throughs. It seems to me that, we're looking at schools and railroad crossings and hospitals and things. We don't have a hospital here. We really don't have railroad crossings here. We do have schools, I understand that, but there's no real address to the sub-community, if you will. Speaking of cut-throughs, I live up on 23rd. They come off of 28th, they come up that hill, around the corner, down Alder, and then down 23rd. And it's a speedway. And people go 40, and I've seen them go 50. And it's not time of day. It's all the time of day. And now they're talking about widening that street. So they're going to bring the traffic closer to my house. And they're going to put 2 lanes in there. Right now, because it's 1 lane, they got to stop kind of for each other because they got to pull off. When it's 2 lanes, it's a free-for-all. Now, I know the technology, you were talking about the technology may be coming where they can put some sort of monitoring devices in those streets. I've seen a little bit more police activity where they're sitting at the other side of Alder in the cul-de-sac there, just on the other side of the stop sign. And you could put a cop there 24 hours a day and he would get a ticket every 5 minutes. No one stops at that stop sign and people speed up and down that street both ways all the time. I'd say there's a lot of probably prospect. Park a couple of cars around there. Park a couple of cop cars in that area for a couple of months. You force people to go feet around the, obviously, they're going to figure out sooner or later. Down 27th, they've got the speed posted, right? They have a solar panel on that sign, and it shows you're down in Fife. Don't they have the cameras right on the speed reader boards? There's a little area on Fife off of, what is that? It's right by Mission Foods. I think that's Valley or something. I think they take a picture of you when you're speeding. That would be better than, I mean, they're talking about putting these cameras at intersections with stoplights, right? Well, we got no stoplights up there. People have been using that as a cut through forever. And I walk my dog up there all the time. I walk out there myself, and I've almost got run over several times. So I'd just say, if we're looking to really manufacture safety for this community, we've got to look at those streets that these people are using as cut-throughs. Because, like you said, I can't remember who it said, they don't care. They don't live in here. They don't think about kids in these areas. There's kids ride their bikes up there all the time, up and down those streets. And sooner or later, someone's going to get killed. I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, can you just state your name? We didn't catch your name for the record.
I live at 112 23rd Ave, if you need to know.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I did not catch, I caught Frank, but I didn't catch the
Frank
last.
Carucci is the last name.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your comments. Thanks. Any other comments from the audience? Okay. So it's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Councilmember Hall to approve ordinance 2107-25 as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. Moving on to council reports. We'll start with Councilmember Whalen this evening.
Geez, I had a lot to say, but I think I said too much already. No, nothing to add to it.
Okay. Councilmember Hall.
None tonight.
Councilmember Cedar.
Ditto.
Okay. Councilmember White.
Wait, what did Councilmember Cedar say?
Did I say Cedar? Oh. Why do I do that? I'm sorry. Councilmember Strader, you said ditto, correct? Okay. And Councilmember Cedar is not here. I was looking at Cedar and marking an X. Councilmember White.
I just wanted to give some resident feedback. The fact that the police have been sitting out in front of the school in the afternoons is being noticed and appreciated. And I've heard it from several different parents. And so I just wanted to pass that on. They say thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And like I've mentioned to you before, the white pickup in the Lutheran Church parking lot, it's very effective. Keep that up. I was glad to see Robert, number 2, Robert, that he came on the Parks Board. I've only known him for 6 months. He's really into the community, and as I said earlier, he'll really be a benefit to the Parks Board. And third, there's he's a resident of Milton that he had been a member of the karate school, so that's how I know him. And he's a Boy Scout. He's with the Boy Scout troop in Federal Way. And so he sent me an email that he's a Life Scout now. And he's looking for an opportunity in the community to do his Eagle Scout project. And so that's it. I told him that I would present it tonight in my council report, and I don't know where we go from there, but you know, I could forward his email to you, and you could handle it from there. I did forward it to the mayor and to Tricia, just because, you know, she's the clerk. But yeah, if you could do that, that would be awesome. I think that would be incredible for the city and obviously incredible for him. So I thought I'd pass that along.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You probably did not get my response, but we
I-
did just recently complete another Scout project, which we probably will highlight in the near future. And so that scout came with a very specific project. So that was really nice for us because we could just say, yes, we'll take it to park board and see what their thoughts are. So yeah, I have the email. I could forward it to Dustin Madden as well. But those kind of projects are helpful if they have something in mind, because then it helps us kind of facilitate that. But we're always willing to help the scouts.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah, we appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Okay.
Planning Manager Stallnecker, do you have anything? Nope. Director Madden?
Nothing to add?
Interim Director Robeck? Chief Hernandez?
Well, again, keep your head on a swivel. Things are the way they usually are. We have been getting a lot of DUIs, but our DUIs have been fentanyl. We've had some serious drug busts as of late. And then we also continue to work some of our stolen car cases. We are preparing for the sergeant's exam, hopefully the first week of May, and then hopefully have a selection by the third week of May. Right now, we currently have 4 applicants that are testing for the third sergeant's position. And 2 of our new officers are now off of field training and solo. We still have 1 more that's going through training, and we don't see any problems right now. And so in another month, he'll be completely done. And then Haney has been approved officially by the Army and will be gone for 1.5 years. And so we'll be looking at that position. But other than that, say something, see something, keep up the good work.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay, just 2 really quick things. We will have an opening on the Planning Commission. Al Sweat's term ends next month, and he is not going to serve another term. So if you know anyone interested in the Planning Commission, please send them to the website for the application. And then that also still leaves us an opening on both the Events Committee and the Civil Service Committee. But we are full on the park board now. And then council, I sent you an email last week just letting you know that we did post and share on the website and social media that we are needing volunteers for the firework advisory measure committees. And so if you know anyone interested in those, either for or against, please make sure they get their application in. So is there anything else? Chief Hernandez?
I believe tomorrow is our public safety meeting at 11, just your friendly reminder.
11 o'clock.
Okay, anything else? All right. Seeing that all items have been concluded, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:13